Dear guests, good afternoon and welcome to EPIC. My name is Myriam Sfeir and I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 5th Global Conversation organized by Athena40, an initiative promoting female leadership and connecting women to international networks. This is an international event featuring synchronous panel discussions as they are happening right now across different parts of the world, and specifically in London, Karachi, Amman, Beirut, and Malmo. Innovation, tech, and education are significant factors for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. How can we capitalize on the development of new technologies and the opportunities these offer to achieve full and equal access of women, putting an end to the gender digital divide? This will be the focus of our 5th global conversation marking International Women's Day. Let's watch a video explaining what Athena40 is all about, and then I will continue. I just need to say something that at 3:30, I will stop just to introduce our panel to the people online. And then at 4:30, I will also stop to deliberate on what has been discussed in this room, and then we will continue throughout.
Female leadership and invite leaders to embrace initiative. Welcome to Athena40. Athena40 is a body of initiatives that promote female leadership and invite leaders to embrace visionary and innovative thinking. By innovative thinking, we mean being curious and solutions focused. Athena40 works closely with some of the most dynamic and innovative minds across all industries in order to promote gender diversity, and bring all women into decision-making roles. We commit to enabling women to contribute to our economies. We believe that compassion and necessary values for our societies. Partnerships and ideas conversations, the tribalism, the proposed collaboration instead of segregation. We ignore labels and stereotypes. We recognize the value of diversity as a fantastic source of talent and knowledge. We stand for freedom of thought and expression. Our language speaks the truth. We stand for values-based decision-making, and we fight polarization. We are broad-minded and inclusive. We believe in meaningful networking and the need to keep lifting each other up. We mentor, inspire, and motivate other women of all ages and backgrounds, helping them discover their own potential. We share and learn from each other's stories. Athena40 welcomes everyone who wishes to be part of that mission and initiatives, an international community vision, an ongoing global conversation, a movement for compassionate, innovative, future-proof leadership. Join us.
So I'm very happy to hear the Athena40 panel is taking place online. It was very challenging during the past years when they were done. It's happening, in person. They were very challenging when they happened online. And a lot of things like stalled us from doing them online, like the COVID-19 pandemic, etc. So to talk about this event and why it's important, this event couldn't be more timely for us, given that this year, 2023, we at the Arab Institute for Women are celebrating our 50th anniversary. And how better to build up this celebration than to listen to stellar scholars and activists whose contributions to the field of women and science are immeasurable, and who utilize technology to benefit marginalized groups and sustain the environment. I'm going to give you a very brief background, especially most of the people here are students, and I think they're fed up by now about hearing about the Institute. But I'm going to give you a very brief intro about the Institute, after which I will introduce our speakers and we start the discussion. So the Institute was founded in 1973. It works at the intersection of academia and activism and serves as a bridge representing women and gender issues in the region. where it connects academics and practitioners working to create space for knowledge building, knowledge sharing, advocacy, and building partnerships, and forming strategic collaborations to address gender inequalities. We serve as a hub where we create and share knowledge on and by Arab women, marginalized groups, and non-Arab women living in the Arab region, and we support the creation of new knowledge forms from the region. We are a voice where we amplify women's voices in discussions on gender and promoting gender equality and human rights in the Arab region. In particular, AiW values education and research as core channels through which we can rally feminist action and encourage debate and discussions. Our work throughout those 50 years is evidence of AiW's continuous dedication to rigorous intellectual and academic work on issues of gender equality and women's rights in the Arab region and beyond. So today's panel on innovation, change, and education for women in the digital age is highly needed in an age where women's presence in the digital sphere is central and where social media has changed the world and has quickly and drastically altered social behaviors. To give you a few numbers, out of the 7.7 billion people in the world, 3.5 billion of them are online, where 1 in 3 people in the world are using social media platforms. Internet users spend an average of 2 hours and 27 minutes per day on social media, although trends differ from country to country. Globally, in 2022, 62% of men were using internet compared to 57% of women. According to the 2020 report on the progress of the Sustainable Development Goals, the Gender Snapshot 2022, the gender gap in technology and innovation persists, and women and girls are very underrepresented in industries, academia, and the broader technology sector. The report highlights the underrepresentation of women in STEM, and where I quote, globally, women hold only 2 in every 10 positions in science, engineering, and information and communication technology and jobs. At the 20 largest global technology companies, women are 33% of the workforce, or were actually in 2022, but hold only 1 in 4 leadership positions. Women inventors make up only 16.5% of inventors listed on international patent applications globally. The current actually gender gap in digital sphere and in STEM continues to expand in many developing countries, creating a specific need to address these issues. And so here we are engaging in a global dialogue to raise awareness and to rally action on the importance of innovation, change, and education for women in the digital age. Questions like, what are the effects of the digital space that are occupying so much of our time? How are new communication technologies impacting us negatively or positively? In a world where the digital space has infiltrated most aspects of our lives, and where the adoption of these technologies is changing how we find partners, how we access information from the news, how we teach in classes, and how we organize and demand political change, to mention a few, it becomes timely to deliberate on the digital era we are living in with stellar experts in the field. I'm delighted to introduce to you some exceptional change makers who share their stories and insights with us today. We have a great lineup, women who are pioneering in the groundbreaking work that they do, mostly behind the scenes. Welcome, Dr. Korfali. Their work and activism have broken many gender barriers and have highlighted the essential role women can play in bringing about change in a region so resistant to change. I'm very honored to have you with me, and I will start with introducing you all. So Dr. Samira Korfali is a retired professor of chemistry and was previously the chairperson of the Natural Science Department at the Lebanese American University in Beirut. Was the chair from 2006 to 2011. She has received her BS degree in chemistry from the Beirut College for Women, and LAU turns 100 in 2024. Her MS degree in physical chemistry from the American University of Beirut and her PhD in environmental geochemistry from Bradford University, UK. Her research interests include mechanisms of metal depositions in alluvial systems. Those are jargon that I've never ever read. Excuse me if I'm mistaken. Cessation and modeling of metals, speciation and modeling of metals in sediment, soil, and water, synthesizing and characterizing of molecules and assessment of water resources, among others. Her research work has been featured in conference presentations and international journal publications and has been acknowledged internationally. She has reviewed many manuscripts for publication in international scientific journals, and she has several times received research grants from the Lebanese Council of Scientific Research, the NRS. Welcome, Tamara, Dr. Elzein. In 2011, she acted as discussion leader for the role model scientist, and in 2009, she was among the very few scientists to be selected to attend the World Economic Forum on Science and Technology at the Dead Sea. She's also the recipient of the Saeed Al Award for Creative Research in 2001. She is also a member of several international organizations, namely the European branch of the Society of Environmental Geochemistry and Health, the European Water Resource Association, the International Medical Geology Association, the Lebanese Association for the Advancement of Science and Society, and Society for the Advancement of Science and Technology in the Arab world, and was a board member there. I can go on and on. One thing that's dear to our hearts is that you were the authority here at LU in terms of science and in terms of like encouraging young girls to pursue STEM. So welcome home, Dr. You deserve much more. Then I have Dr. Tamara Elzein. Dr. Tamara Elzein is the Secretary General of the National Council for Scientific Research of Lebanon. This organization is headed by a woman I know. Yes, we're very proud of that. She holds a PhD in physical chemistry from the University of Haute-Alsace. In 2016, she has been awarded the L'Oréal UNESCO for Women in Science Prize, Levant, Egypt region, in addition to the distinction of Lebanese women pioneers by the National Initiative of the Centenary of Greater Lebanon. In 2017, she received the International Rising Talent Award from the L'Oréal UNESCO for Women in Science program again. In October 2020, she was named by the French Republic Chevalier de l'Ordre des Palmes Académiques, Knight in the Order of the Academic Palms. She is co-president of the French-Lebanese Committee of the PhD TED program. She is also vice president of the Lebanese National Commission for UNESCO. She has served as an advisor for scientific research and Francophone affairs to the current Minister of Education and Higher Education. In addition, between 2016 and 2022, she was a member of the AUF International Scientific Board. And between 2014 and 2019, she has been a designated expert for the European Commission Center of Excellence. In 2019, with the support of UNESCO, she founded the National Observatory for Women in Research. This is something very important to us, of which she is the president. Starting 2022, she became the jury president of the L'Oréal UNESCO for Women in Science program for both the Levant and the Middle East region. At the NRS, and upon joining the NRS, she founded the research unit on innovative material for radioactive decontamination. Her scientific research has been published in 2 international patents and in more than 60 articles and international conferences. The list will go on and on. I will move on now to Dr. Nancy Fayad. And by the way, I forgot to mention something very important. Today we have a very important guest with us. We have our first child, our colleague Joanna Fayad. Welcome, Derby. And he's the first child to be hopefully a feminist and maybe a scientist to advance women's rights. So and Dr. Nancy Fayad is actually just his uncle. So, Dr. Nancy Fayad is a research faculty and postdoctoral research fellow at the Multi-Omic Laboratory at the School of Pharmacy at Lebanese American University, one of our own. Dr. Fayad holds a PhD in biology from St. Joseph University of Beirut in Lebanon and a PhD in agronomical sciences and bioengineering from the Catholic University Elzein in Belgium. She is the winner of the 2022 L'Oréal UNESCO for Women in Sciences, Levant's Young Talent Program. Her research interests revolve around microbiology and microbial genomics with a bioinformatic and biotechnological twist with the hope of uncovering the secrets of the microverse, a microcommunity living within and around us. Welcome, Nancy. That's the song. Partner, Joslin Kehdy. Joslin is a devoted steward of the environment, living off grid in the village of Baskinta. She is a hands-on, unlearning, and actively seeks out nature-based alternatives. Joslin is the founder of the NGO Recycle Lebanon that aims to recycle mindsets towards action by building tools to catalyze systemic change through a circular economy. Under her leadership, Recycle Lebanon opens EcoSouq marketplace to access locally made, refillable and plastic-free household and lifestyle products. And by the way, the EcoSouq is basically exhibiting some of the works of our students that were done within the context of our 16 days of activism. And those are artworks that our students did. Currently, Joslin is focused on growing Terrapods, a bio-design market space, art residency, and agroecology farm in Baskinta, set to open in spring 2023. Those are all too complicated terms for me, definitely. I'm not that science person. Justin's work has been instrumental in empowering individuals and communities to adopt circular practices and shift our collective role in consumption and production, promoting holistic system change. Justin has spoken several times to our students about the importance of that. So the list was very long. I'm sorry, I will have to stop at like 7 minutes and interrupt you just to introduce you yet again to our colleagues online. But for now, I will start off with a question, and I'll start with you, Dr. Korfali. So basically, increasing the appeal of STEM fields to women is a key technology, and it's become more and more integrated in our lives. However, studies show that young girls lose interest in STEM around middle school. So based on your experience and the fact that all you did ever was like encourage students to join STEM, and especially women, how can we change that?
First, I mean, it's due to lack of female role models, peer pressure, parents, and even teachers are indifferent to career in STEM fields. Classes are not built in such a way or environment in the class to make students, girls, enjoy science. And misperception of the whole idea, this is the most important, that STEM career, how does it look exactly like in the real world? Now, we can change this first to increase the number of mentors and parents.
Recording in progress.
To help young girls confidence that they can succeed. This is the most important. When you convince them they can succeed in science, technology, engineering, and math, they start to feel and they go into it. Now, teachers, you have to give them to be engaged in curricula and classroom activity with the projects that tackles towards the interest in girls or STEM. Then promote for them role model women in science. Elaborate on stories of successful women recently in STEM. Have mentors for girls to convince them about the importance of science and digital technology, because usually girls are more affected and the impact of teachers is more than the impact of the parents. And by this way, you can encourage them.
interject here? Yes, just thank you for the introduction. Just to follow on what she was saying, I'm sorry for my accent, and I'm not English educated, very French speaking. Yeah. Okay, just to say that I think for me, it's basically a problem of visibility. When you take a look on history, I will ask a few questions, and you will try to answer. When we talk about the father of modern computing, answer? No. The fathers of DNA, fathers of the chemical revolution. Okay, so each time when we talk about the history of science, we talk about father of. Okay, we talk about men. So when you ask the father of modern computing, you say Alan Turing, while the first programmer was a lady. Ada Byron, she was a lady. When we talk about fathers of DNA, we forget Watson and Crick. We forget that Rosalind Franklin was the lady behind the structure of DNA. And even till now, when we talk about her, we say that she has been the forgotten of the Nobel Prize of 1962. Same thing for the father of the chemical revolution, Lavoisier. We forget that Marie-Anne Pons used to be his partner in life. She was also his partner in chemistry. So we should start here to say that it's a matter of visibility. Because for us, it's like women in STEM, they are invisible. They don't exist. Because we don't shed light enough on these women in STEM. And even nowadays, because I think the difference between Western countries and Lebanon, that we don't have the same pattern. We still have women, young ladies, seeking diplomas in engineering, in STEMs, but it's really at the level of employment that we have a big problem. If I take PhD, in Lebanon, you should know that you have 60% of enrolled PhD students that are females, okay? But then when you go up in universities, when you take a look on the staff, the average is 33%, but if you take a look on STEM, it's only 27%. So as a quantitative approach, we are still really a minority. Meanwhile, in PhD, we were 60%. So there's a real problem in access to employment and STEM fields or in research.
Myriam Sfeir. Soon is going to be another
Good sport.
Good sport. Yes, I'm a hero.
Myriam, hello there. Good afternoon. So I'd like to make a brief introduction to you. The Institute for Women, which is a pioneering organization that supports women in the region. And you are celebrating your 50th anniversary. Yeah. I'd like to commend you for the work that you have been doing over the last 5 decades, because Lebanon, as we know, has been drawn by decades of war. And something every year, the economic situation and the social situation is getting worse. So we will hear from you, Myriam. Would you like to introduce your speakers? Our panel chair before.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I have here with me Dr. Samira, who's a retired associate professor and former chair of the Department of National Sciences here at LAU. I have with me Dr. Tamara Elzein, Secretary General of the National Council for Scientific Research for Lebanon. I have Dr. Nancy Fayad, who's a research faculty, postdoctoral research fellow at the School of Pharmacy at LAU, and she's the winner of the L'Oreal Award. And I have with me Ms. Joslin, who's the founder and director of Recycle Lebanon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Myriam. I know that the conversation, as in every year in Beirut, is trying to produce some very insightful findings, which, and that's the purpose of Athena40 and that global conversation, to take them away and see how we can raise more awareness around what is happening in Lebanon and the other countries. Now, let's come back to Amman. Amman, can you hear us? Our long-standing partner in jazz, I can see Mary Nazal. Good afternoon, Mary.
Hi, Elizabeth. Great to connect with you. So welcome, everybody, and great to be connected to everyone all over the world. I'd just like to invite my panelists to come up, please. So we have on our panel Mahad Babu. She's the CEO of Joslin. Let's hold our applause until the end. I will be introducing each one of the panelists in more detail. So if you can just hold your applause until the end, because we're just live with other countries. And also we have with us today Dana Fayad, the CEO of Women AiW. You're not going to listen to that stuff. We're enjoying the focus. We have Ms. Dina Majadi, the co-founder of Crypto. And last but not least, we have Ms. Myriam Sfeir, so the founder of Robotic and Phoenix.
Thank you, Mary. And with this opportunity, I would like to highlight that in Jazz, my startup, you are a long-standing partner of Athena40, and we couldn't be prouder for this collaboration and the friendship that we had over the years. We launched Global Thinkers Forum in Jordan 11 years ago. I can't believe how time has flown. But under the leadership of your CEO, Injaz, of my startup, my friend, my very good friend, Dima Bibi, the organization has been thriving against adversities and odds. It's not an easy world out there, and we know that. But you have been doing such great work for youth and women in Jordan, and thank you for being by our side. I know that the British ambassador in Jordan has opened the event today, and we would like to thank you, Her Excellency, to thank her for her presence. And now from Amman, let's go to Pakistan, if Pakistan can hear me, to welcome a new partner, the National Incubation Center in Karachi, which similarly to Injaz, they create supportive ecosystems for tech-based businesses and business ideas, and they actively help women entrepreneurs in Pakistan. Our Athena40 chapter in Pakistan is led by Ambassador Atiya Mahmood, again one of the founding members of Global Thinkers Forum when we were in Jordan in 2012. We continue for the second year the collaboration and partnership with Din University, and I apologize for my pronunciation. But I would like to highlight that Din is one of the top universities in Pakistan, and I'm thrilled to see fantastic women which are next to Dr. Owais. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but please introduce yourself and would like to welcome you to Athena40.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You pronounced it perfectly fine. My name is Dr. Westry, and I'm an IP expert, and I've been associated with academia, consultancy, and the professional field revolves around intellectual property, law, and management. I'm going to introduce the panel with me. Myriam, she is the MD and Chief Operating Officer at Genetic Solutions, and she's also the partner of Korfali. Thank you for joining us. Sanasha, she's the head of program at NIT Karachi, and she's leading the NIT Karachi at this point. So thank you, Sana, for hosting this, and welcome. Then we have Fiona Sakia. She's also part of the big cohort at the NIT Karachi, and she's the CEO and co-founder of PageFlow.pk. Then we have Joslin, Shamsi. She's the director at the Center for Excellence in Journalism at the IBA, the Institute of Business Administration. And last but not least, Myriam. She is a director. She's the director at Zoom and the think tech. Yes. So.
I love seeing those spirits and how how wonderful it is that you have such positive energy in the room. Fantastic women. I wish we could meet you in person sometime soon. And fantastic, of course, gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Owais, and also Muaz Fayad, Director of Development for the University, the University of Din University, who has been supporting Athena40 for us. Now, we will leave Karachi and we're going to Sweden. And under the leadership of our board member, Maria Tibling, we will connect to Malmö University. I hope that Malmö can hear us.
Yes, we hear you very well, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to see you all the countries. And we have a Saturday here in Sweden, so we're really happy celebrating International Women's Day. And I would like to introduce our great panel and the women. here in Malmö. The Vice Chancellor, Rebecca Letteval, Counselor for Global Engagement and Human Rights Professor of Intellectual History at Malmö University. Charlotta Löfgren, Professor in Health and Society, Field of Sexology and Sexuality Studies at Malmö University. Anniken R. Day, Global Executive Advisor, Culture Expert, and Author. Joslin Eidvall, Senior Advisor and Communications Expert of Hygiene and Health at the company Essity. Charlotte Jung, CEO of Duxiana and founder and director of Embright. We're very happy to now continue our discussion and see you soon in an hour.
In less than an hour. Thank you, Maria. I would like to say that Malmö University, who is joining us as a partner for the first time, because we're bringing on board Sweden for the first time, is an academic institution founded on the human, democratic, and academic values that have emerged from the ideals of an open society, freedom of speech, and critical thinking. And they have pioneering fields of expertise, as you heard, and it's fantastic to have them on board Athena40, also along with the British Free Chamber of Commerce. Lastly, but we're going to return to London. Ray be called London. Hello, Doug.
Hello, I'm Doug, and I'm on the board of the Athena40. But importantly today, I'm going to hand over now to Dawn Alford, and Dawn is the Executive Director of the Society of Editors, and Dawn will be moderating today, so she will introduce the team.
Hello, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you for having me here today. It's a privilege. Yes, I don't need to introduce myself. Doug's just done that for me very ably. On our panel today, we have Ros Russell, who is the Evening Standard's assistant editor and editor of the international multi-channel project Let Girls Learn, which has the Gates Foundation as a partner. We also, on the media side, have Caroline Gamble, assistant editor of The Independent, whose area is particularly news, which also includes foreign affairs. In terms of policy and politics, which we will also be addressing today, we have Judith Diamond. I got the surname correct, thank you. Who is the lead global advisor for Polio Plus National Advocacy Advisor. She's also chair of the representatives to the United Nations and to the Commonwealth. I have most of that correct. Again, we'll see you in an hour, so it's going to go very quickly. I'm so sorry, but evidently I've forgotten somebody. Who has been the executive of the United Nations and supports charities across London, so we'll hear much more from them, and we will report back at the end. Thank you.
So, thank you, Doug, and all you panelists. We have 41 speakers around the world. Every year there's so much energy and participation, so we're very proud and very thankful, and I will all be back to you in about 50 minutes. Now let's come back to our room here, and I'm going to introduce my good friend and board member, Paula Diana, an activist, social entrepreneur. What's my button?
Imagine how awkward it is to do this online. We were all online and like connecting. It was like it's good to be connected. So anyway, I'm sorry you were cut off, but so if we can like pick up from where we started.
Hey, and just to say that in addition to programs mentioned by Dr. Korfali, I think we should shed light more and more on women and STEM and women in research. Also because if you think the battle in Lebanon, given its circumstances, the leadership positions are not in the hands of. They are all the time in the hands of men. And even if you take the academia, you have very few women presidents of the universities. While Lebanon looks like a modern country, but it's not really very.
We lag behind on a lot of counts, Emily, and I agree fully. So I'd like to hear from you, Nancy, and after Joslin on that, please. So if you could, like, being yourself a young woman working in this field.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for the introduction and for having me. And I would just like to add one more idea on what was said is something we can actually actively do in middle school. Like maybe I have this idea where young women can join a scientist and be a scientist for a day, and just to see in real life what research is like. You know, go to the lab and see actively, and this I think would help them really encourage them to maybe pursue this further down the line instead of just having an abstract idea about what research is and how research works. You know, to really see it on the field first, so just to see it and to actively be a scientist for a day. I think it's a really interesting idea to apply with young people.
That's very interesting because today there was a school competition and 12 women were, 12 young girls, sorry, were chosen to accompany like top ranking women and be ambassadors for the day for international organization. This is a very good idea. And also, I think those discussions should be moved to schools, not just to universities. So we need to have you speak at school so that we can encourage more women to be that step. Joslin.
Okay, I would like to and continue on to all of the recommendations that you have said, and as someone here that has not been part of academia or the schooling system, the largest appeal for me was the hands-on approach in learning. And this is what we have done in the organization. So to echo your remarks, we are opening a fellowship in Baskinza, which includes access to girls from around the village as part of it, that are able to come on the land and experiment and explore through agroecology and in a biodesign makerspace. So the makerspace has elements where not only do they see the principles of ecology from what they're growing on the land, but how can they transform materials that once were quite toxic for us with synthetic material, and how could they, for instance, harvest the waste of the seaweed inside the water villages around the farmers' land and create packaging alternatives. So I believe I developed this approach because academia was something that was perhaps intimidating or inaccessible at the time, and having a more hands-on approach is a way that provokes this ability to really learn or engage and understand, okay, this is the field that I want to go to because it's become accessible and I'm able to learn from such wonderful legends as you all here on the table. And I think for me, it's this dynamic approach of hands-on learning and making it accessible that drives the tools that I use in the organization.
I don't know. I think it is in Athens, Hamana area during the crisis in last year. They had a school on field for 6 months, and then it was even adopted in the Qara. So I don't remember the name.
I think that would be the best idea to really drive curiosity that these young ladies have, to see that it's okay to be curious, come see what our curiosity wants us to do.
So what we've done is built 10 capacity logic spaces, so 4 residency units that can serve for artists, scientists, researchers coming from outside Lebanon, from the city, or as part of the training sessions that make it very comfortable to arrive and
So I'm going to move on and ask about the challenges of living in Lebanon, and they're numerous. And the challenges are what the question. You have to wait and listen to it all. And so the challenges are numerous, and they affect the educational sector a lot. and this education sector has suffered tremendously. So how has this impacted STEM? One, this is for Tamara. And how do you handle social, cultural, economic, and even all the emotional undercurrents at play that affect the work that we're actually doing? And back to you.
No, I think it's beyond the crisis. I think what the trend nowadays is to study, to get employed. This is the major challenge because it's somehow directing people not to follow their aspirations or their ambitions, they will follow the market. And this is the major issue. In addition to this international trend, when Lebanon are following, following. So in addition to that, actually you have the crisis. I see families in which now they have to make choices. And now really we are regressing, like in some countries when they have the choice between the boy and the lady, they will send the boy to make studies in university. And mainly it deals with the STEM because once again, they believe that in STEM you need to be more involved. It's not like being a teacher or like being, I don't know, in social sciences. So they will orient the females to go more to be a teacher, to be, just to follow the family also. While the boy, he will be really motivated. Now, what we are doing, I think there's a big gap in Lebanon in the gender research. We have numbers, we have international numbers, we have international indicators. But when you go deep in the Lebanese situation, you don't have really gendered research to tell us what's happening. I will give you a few numbers to see why you are so different from Western countries. In France, I think the French example, and we said that they don't go to, they drop and STEM early, even at the fact. In Lebanon, no. You have almost 50-50 universities. We made an assessment on the whole country. So we have almost 50-50. Then in STEM. And then you go into PhD also in STEM. I said they are even 60%. Okay? While in France, no. And PhD STEM fields, they are less than 30%. So in our case, as I said before, it's really related to the employment. But once again, we need to see why it's happening. Is it because men are traveling earlier than women? So when they are here, they will try to push unemployment to later on, so they will go to the PhD. Is it really by curiosity, by love of science, or it's just because I will not be employed just after my BS, so I will go on and then I will go to PhD. So we need really to analyze it qualitatively, socially, economically, this situation. And then if you go to universities, to research centers, we have also a big problem in leadership positions. And if you take deans, we analyze the 12 biggest universities in Lebanon. This is within the observatory. And these 12 universities, only 20% they are deans, female deans. So we have seriously a problem. Even in social sciences, you don't have much deans. So what to do, how to do, I think yes, it should start at the school, but it should start at the family. Before going to school, the education, the family. And in my case, and if I hadn't my family behind, I think I wouldn't go to even to France to spend there 15 years of my life because I want to follow my passion for chemistry and so on. So it should start really in the family. And then in the school, and within Dawri Kunna, one of our projects, our ideas was to create groups of female scientists to go to schools, but also to go, to social centers and villages and so on, to raise awareness about this. Because you need to raise awareness at the decision-making level, but also really you should start very, very early in the
See, given that you're teaching now and you have access to students, what are the challenges that you face?
So a lot of things that I see, and this happened a couple of days ago. One of my students who is very eager, she's really good. And one thing she said to me is after I graduate, I don't know what I'm gonna do because my dad says that I can't work late. I can't stay at work late. And this is really what goes back to the family. There's these cultural and social undercurrents that are at play. And even as young researcher, in my small family, I'm really good. It's really good. They are very supportive. If I go outside my small family, sometimes I hear it, oh, you're gonna get married and you're still gonna work till 6 p.m. Yeah, exactly. But I see this all the time. And some students, although I have the majority of my students, for example, in pharmacy, the majority are girls, young women. And some of them, they have this idea that after, if they're going to work late, if they have to travel, what will they do if they have to travel and they're a girl alone traveling? So this is really cultural pressure and social pressure that we have here in this. I think it's really suffocating creativity within young girls.
Joslin, can you tell us a bit about the challenges that you're facing in terms of working and educating, etc.? So, second program we have is Regenerate Hub, and it's a digital platform for circular economy, mapping the challenges and the solutions across the sectors in Lebanon. So the intersection between the sectors of what's happening in water, waste, energy, air, food, mobility, etc. And biggest challenge is that today I was invited to a launch of a study on the climate change, and it has all of the data. We have data, and we're always saying we don't have access, we don't have the data because books like this that are invaluable get stored on a table or in a laptop or behind a file. And what we're trying to do in our organization is make that information accessible by mapping it, digitalizing it, visualizing it, and creating project management systems inside the platform that can allow you to take access and do something with this information. So I would say our challenge right now is there's a lot of interest and there's not yet enough funding to hire full-time staff in teams. And so I see a lot of people that are completely passionate about the work that we're doing, but I can't offer them the opportunity of full-time employment. I can offer them project-based employment. And surely this will continue to be resolved as we grow. But I've had many times, right now, we have a senior data analyst and 2 data coordinators, and our data coordinator is traveling next week to go to Canada to work. So we'll have to be working remotely. Of course, that causes some data collection challenges and the time difference. But yeah, for me, it's really being able to pay what the people are worth to do the work that can create the impact.
I just want to ask about
we only received 2 fundings so far in our 7 years. Bootstrapped the entire organization. And our first funding was from the Embassy of Japan in 2019-20, and it was implemented by the UNDP. And our second large grant now has come from Italy, from the COSV, donor, which is partnering. They are funded by the EU, and they are partnered with Oxfam and Beyond Group and called to do this project. 21 projects were selected in total. We are one of them. And it is only by these 2 donors that our work was really made possible, from a volunteer to manufacture of something to show. Dr. Korfali, according to a study by the Center for Talent Innovation, 80% of women in science, engineering, and technology love their job initially. However, 10 to 20 years later, at the mid-career level, almost 6% leave their organizations. The quit rate is twice as high for women, 41%, compared to that of men, 17%. Only 5% of women make it to leadership positions. So basically, what does it take to be successful in a STEM career based on your journey? And how might we help girls have more confidence in their STEM?
There are many. They can be successful. Number one, we start from the easiest, to be a hard worker, punctual, nice with peers. Very few follow this, but this is very important. To be successful, you have to be nice with your peers and to then learn from them. Patient. Understand how important its effect on human life. Not only that you don't have it feel, enjoy life, but just know how important is science, technology, and human life. Then attend conferences and workshops with recent related to research advancement. Be persistent. Knowing your abilities and have confidence in yourself, which is very important. Passionate to your subject. Have strong or strengthen your networking, because by networking we can learn from, we can avoid our mistakes, we can get advanced. Derive satisfaction from the work. I don't know how many you would follow it, but in general, whenever you make questionnaires, strike the point. Are you satisfied by your work? I assume 90%, they would say no. But what I said, everybody, those who do science are not satisfied. Those who do economics are not satisfied. Those who do social science are not satisfied. Those in communication media, not satisfied. Those that work in news, I don't know why. People are always not satisfied by their work. This is a problem that, and we should tackle it or leave it later. Learn about the life of STEM professional by observing them. This is to reassure your point or to repeat it in their workplace, to see how they carry out their professional, and this is extremely important. Once you see them and learn from them, you will get to love the subject more. Accept the criticism from higher authority and consider it always as a positive feedback. I don't know why.
Depends.
No. Usually, I don't know why people don't accept. No, accept it as a positive feedback. I always believe in this, and this is what I put my students. Criticism is not to make you unhappy. Only take the positive aspect of it and try to avoid it.
Definitely. But for example, my 14-year-old daughter, she's in school now. And her science teacher, which is the woman, she's telling her, no, don't study biology because it would take lots of your time. So at that point, I told my daughter, you're going to study biology if you like, but you're going to study biology to be a scientist who would change the mindset of the society of believing like science. That's what.
Respect to the teacher, I think, the director of the school. Yeah. I'll teach her how I know why.
So and this is why I'm saying it's on the level of school. So sometimes we just we criticize because why should you go and study science? You should be a mother after some time. You don't have to work hard. So criticism is accepted.
I think the problem is recently Lebanon financial crisis, because you were just graduated and everything was offered to you and you were satisfied. You didn't have economic stress. Or now she feels she has to teach and she barely can live. So this is a reflection. Oh, this is, I think, when I said I'm fire her, take her out if you are in normal conditions. I don't think we can, in Lebanon, we can follow the norms that is followed anywhere. It's an absurd country, absurd situation, different. Yeah. You can sit and dream and drive, but when you come to reality, now we can help girls. How can we avoid this to be successful? How might we help girls to have more confidence in science, technology, engineering, and math? The first point is teach them to speak to themselves confidently. Talk to yourself now. I can do science and math. I can do science and math. You'll be brainwashed. And I can understand technology. Help them to value what they already have achieved and set more goals. You have achieved, let's say, 70%, it's better than nothing. Later, it can be easy. You don't have to be from the tops. As long as you like it, continue with the hard work. To me, everybody might be shocked. I find the easiest subject is science. It's the easiest. Yeah, because you practice on it. You don't have to be innovative. You don't have to be creative, like a poet or those who paint. In science, you have to be patient. Just be patient. Some people need 10 hours to understand the concept. Some people have a so you are resistance and continue, even if it takes 10 hours. This is what I teach my students. The difference is that he needs 4 hours, leave half an hour, and avoid students or people at work because they are always have negative feedback. We have a society that doesn't encourage the general. They like always to give you back odds so as to be one. Maybe I'm mistaken, you know. That teach them to take fear out and nobody and to move on. Let them learn from their mistakes. Now, one thing as the parents, what the mother can do is she can talk to her daughter about a new errand she's doing and she's writing and ask her advice. Then the daughter would get convinced that I cannot do everything from the first time. I am something. By this, the mother can help the daughter a lot. See media that positively represent woman character in STD positively. We rarely see in the media represent woman in science. Either they are singing, dancing, or talking politics, but not women. Those who are on political platform, I counted them, 85% men, 15% women. But, yeah.
Can we just
Yes.
can we just listen to what you have to say? And I'd like to hear Dr. Ufat raised a very important point about the importance of media, and we're seeing more now ads about women in science, awards Florian has done a lot. So can I hear your opinion about like why, how can one be successful in STEM, and if you talk from your experience and like talk about more the effects of the media, exactly like Dr. Korfali spoke about the importance of mentors, role models, etc.
Yes, sure. Yeah. In addition to,
And based on your experience and your work.
yes, I think we should start with a point because I personally, I hate the word empowerment. We should start
Empowerment.
Exactly. Yeah, it reflects somehow that we don't have enough power and we are weak and that we need someone to take our hand and to. So we should start it. And this, it starts once again in the family. So please, when you raise your daughters, don't raise them to be perfect because each time we seek perfection, we will doubt about our capacity to be able to be in STEM, to be able in politics, in economy, or whatever in any field. So yes, to be hard workers, to be ambitious, to be ethical, because I think this is the main difference between the females and males. That females are more ethical, maybe even in leading their institutions, leading their research, and so on. The question of networking is very important. And that's why also in Dawri now we are seeking now to create the kind of network for female researchers in Lebanon, because networking is very important for a simple reason. In Lebanon, it's a country with too much complications. Yeah, okay, in Western countries, you have lobbies. Okay, to reach a very high position, you should be somehow close to big political party or to be in the close sphere of a president of. In Lebanon, it's much more complicated. You have confessional constraints, you have regional sometimes constraints, you have, and for men, because you have too much male politicians, it's easier for men to go, Mani, Kai, Habibi, Kifan, okay, and they will be in the sphere. Unfortunately, as a female, I will not do it with a man minister. I can do it with a female. So that's why we should insist also on the global issue of women. It's a global condition. Till now, you don't have the right to give your nationality to your children. This is a very critical issue. I mean, how you will, I myself, I hope I couldn't give the nationality to my children. So how I would be very motivated to work for my country if my country is rejecting my own children. Even in the market, the labor market, we still have 25% of.
Not to mention the fact that we know nothing about women in the informal sector.
Exactly. So no numbers, no data. So this is very important. We have to take it really as a package. We have to work on it as a package, and you will see. Once we do it, it will be spontaneous somehow. So once again, we go back to education. Don't raise your children, your daughters, to be perfect. And our families, men, they are raised to be successful. And girls, they are raised to be perfect, to be on all the fronts, for the family, for the work, for children, for husband, and so on. So, okay, we assume this is a very human mission, but at the same time, not to say that if I do this, I will not be perfect at home. I will not. So to balance things, it's in our minds.
See the importance of confidence and later after you just said the importance of confidence in the work that you're doing where there's so much pushback and nobody really cares sometimes. I don't want to generalize, but the environment is one of the key areas that we've worked on in Lebanon. So Nancy and then just.
So for confidence, I don't know if you've heard this before, but a lot of women in STEM, they sometimes go through a phase where they have something called the imposter syndrome. So we feel that, okay, so I can do this. Am I going to get accepted for this? Did they just overlook the fact and just give me the award? Just a lot of, so this is the imposter syndrome that some ladies, I think all ladies in STEM, they go through at one point in their lives, especially if their research is a bit stagnant and they're going through a phase setting up a new project, so they don't have a lot of results. So here I think it's the visibility, it's awards like, for example, so the Retiree for Women in Science awards, you have no idea how push that it gives us. So and give me more about that. So this award is from UNESCO, it's the Foundation for Women in Science, and one of their aspects is for young talents. And we were 3 postdoctoral fellows and 2 PhD candidates from the Lebanon region, so Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, and Jordan. And at one point, when I got the email that I was selected, and I thought it was by mistake, I was going to send an email back to Mrs. Ranji. Are you sure? Is it me? And after, and I was like, oh, okay, no, really, my research is good, and it means the world to be selected and to be validated from people, so experts, and that was amazing. That means an entire amazing push. But the imposter syndrome, it's a discussion that we had recently in a webinar with the foundation. And they said that it's okay, but you need to keep pushing, just step by step, and the confidence will come back.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome is so real. And especially to accept it is what I have found, to accept my insecurities or my fears, and to not just have like this exterior validation, but to know just somewhere deep down inside, my mission is so true to its source, and that's what I'm here for. So just keep going, even if you feel completely incapable. And what I would say then, which mirrors this, and this is why it's
it's been helpful for me to accept, to sit in it, is because if you're not pushing and resisting me enough, I haven't pushed the boundaries to the limits of what I'm capable of kind of bringing for different society for, or tools for. So I think it was from 2016 to 2019, I just was called the crazy girl by directors of the EU to just the community at large, because they couldn't understand my concept. Only until 2019, 2020, when our system crashed, could people start to understand why have I been fighting and pushing to create these alternative tools? So why is it important to have a digital platform that you can access open source free data and encourage this action? Or why is it important to have a maker space where you're growing the materials to innovate new products? Why don't you want to just go and educate in schools about recycling? Why are you called Recycle Lebanon and you don't recycle and don't believe in recycling? And it's because I want to recycle this mindset psychologically. And if I'm not pushing the boundaries enough, then maybe I've fallen a little bit comfortable. And then my third is to resist the pressure. So surely I did this all, with low resources, no education, and with very little teams, but it was networking. Yes, and without the credentials, of course. And so for me, it's to resist, to know what is your cause, and to resist any of the pressure to have to go another route just to make ends meet or to seek your validation from an outside source. You know, I had an uncle come to me the other day, بس انت شو عم تعمل هون؟ ليش قاعد هون؟ ليش قاعد بس انت go to Europe, go where people will value your mind. I said, but it's me that is valuing my mind here in this village, because I know what this project can grow for all of us. And so I think it's really resisting. I reiterated, but why you're so self-confident and having the imposter syndrome, to have all of the strength to resist and know your path. It's
being tenacious, like one step at a time.
Yeah, failure, fear, all of that, eat it for breakfast.
So I'm going to ask the question that you should answer. So basically, within your area of expertise and your work, the digital sphere has provided positive impact on your work. Correct?
It's provided positive impact because everyone wants it, because nothing exists globally. I think on the platform, what we are trying to do is have such visualized access to data where you can just download the data. I'm very curious to learn about your work and what's possible, because we don't have access to it. It's much of the data and this was every holiday textbook for us. Our team sat on this today.
So how can we unpack this data? Maybe because you're here on this one, how can we unpack this data so it's more accessible to people?
This is one of my biggest ambitions for the institution and for the country, to work on scientific media. In Lebanon, we have a big problem. We don't have scientific journalists. You don't have scientific platforms to popularize science to the wide audience. Okay, she's a specialist. She can read and understand data, but she needs also other platforms to make these data accessible to the society. Because I will give you an example. After the recent earthquakes, people were really afraid, panicked, terrorized, and they were asking why you weren't talking about this before. Seriously, we've done at least during the last 3 years, maybe 20 or 25 panels, workshops, even scientific cafe about earthquakes. Really, maybe 5 or 10 people were coming. Where is you have them? Physical or online? Physical and online. Physical, even during COVID, we visited. Even in December, before the last earthquake, I had an event. I called it Mesa, scientific Mesa. We talked about earthquakes. So there's really a problem in the media. They are not covering all scientific issues. Once the catastrophe is here, we are aware that there's a bombard with wrong information. Exactly, but from a gender point of view, you can see that men, they were really saying things, silly. They weren't attacked like ladies talking in the field. Even in media.
So what you're saying, even though both men and women were saying inaccurate,
no, the lady was saying accurate.
Okay.
But the way of doing things, this is just to tell you that they were talking about her emotions when talking about earthquakes. But men, when they talk, no one will say that their emotions were motivating them to say this word or this. This is very important. In Lebanon, we not only we don't have scientific media, but we don't have also media conscious of the gender issues when dealing when any crisis in the country, wars, natural catastrophes, and whatever. So we need to work.
It happens.
Really, it's a big problem. In addition to making things reachable for everyone, to work on all these programs we are talking about, if we don't have media engaged in gender issues and in scientific issues, I think we will stack in our place.
As well as the access to the science. So we're lucky with AiW, so we can access scientific journals or scientific articles, even to
specialized people.
Yeah, you need to make
I think the whole educational sector, which is they don't have the access to these scientific articles.
Yeah.
So this was also a major problem at the start of the pandemic, where just information were getting out. Suddenly, people were just dropping dead in the street because of COVID-19. So misinformation, and I think, and this is the role of CNRS doing this is very important. It's scientific journalism, and since the training that we did with Elzein, it's to how to simplify scientific terms and so the general population can really understand them. And I think this is really important because most of the time, sometimes I'm speaking with my family and I forget that they don't have the same background as I do. And yeah, my chicken that's the point in the at the end, they're like, just shut up, you can't understand anything. So just to really train, especially women, because I think women, they have better and oral communication to have scientific terms and how to explain scientific terms to a larger audience. I think the role of CNR is doing this really
we say that women, they in presence.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I know. We depend on funding. Each time I get some funding from UNESCO, from IUF, from AFD, so we can do this. But we started with a program, specific program for media pedestrian, transforming science into media to make everybody, even not specialists or they are not journalists, to be able to simplify the information coming from researcher and to make it accessible for the wide. So this is very important. I think it's our major challenge at Lebanon now. It's this link between science and society. There's a big gap.
Yeah. And so, of course. So, thank you. And for us, the way that we would like to make this accessible, so access for me comes in two forms. Can I have access to it? Do I know where to find it? And can I understand it? So on our platform, Regenerate Hope, and we named it Hope because it's a hug, but it's also love. And I don't think that without this feminine power and the love that comes in, these systems will change, the vulnerability will change. So what we would like to do, and we spoke with the minister and the climate change team on this, is to extract the raw data from this and include it on our platform in qualitative and quantitative displays, where when you enter each sector on the platform, you can identify directly, based on this information,
the challenges, the alternatives, the legal framework requirements, the actors involved, and then we need to dive deeper into the micro and macro of the platform, then you can see what actions to take. And we also have a library of resources that are provided by sector and a story journey, which hits back to the media. So what's the story of waste? What's the story of energy? Who's doing what, where, in a way that they don't have to open a data analytics dashboard to identify it, but it's in a multimedia journey with some survey or questions or something that's more dynamic, because I think we're all learning in different ways and we're very saturated. So
yeah, can I ask you a question? Like you've been in the country for such a long time, and what is a possible advice that you'd like to give to women other than all the advice that you'd give who are beginning their career in STEM? Something that you wish that you knew that time that you, when you first started, had you known that things would have changed for you? Okay, you can.
Okay, I don't need it.
I know you don't need it. You know them all.
Yeah, because I started and I wrote so many things. Anyway,
We can turn this into an article.
I don't mind. I'm doing nothing.
Of course, you're doing a lot.
Well, I've never doubted my ability. I believe in hard work, and I just want to tell women, I chose it. I was very young. I chose the field, and as she was saying, it all goes to my parents. My parents never differentiated between to have a male or a female. They used always to encourage me. My father used to tell me, Valentina, the astronaut, she used to tell me that. So once you have a passion for a certain subject, continue to believe in yourself, no matter how many obstacles. I have faced so many obstacles, and I'm going to be very frank. I have faced financial obstacles, and even they told me at university, if you don't pay the fee, you'll be kicked out. My answer was, to the one responsible, it's not you who decides, okay? I decide. I got from 4 places. Therefore, if you believe in your ability in a certain subject, go on, be persistent, believe in yourself, act so as to reach your higher achievements. And only if you believe in yourself and you have been passionate, I think everybody can reach. One last thing I wanted to say is that this is beside the point is that, and I think my students know, when I used to enter the class, I used to tell them I'm here to teach the ones who need help. The students I used to be are the ones that they are excelling or they think themselves intelligent. These don't contribute to class. These don't challenge, but I'm concentrated so much. If they believe in science, to reinforce them, until they reach. But at the end, I believe some people, since they're only in freshman level, their minds do not work science. So don't work science.
So, do you think enough is being done to help women get into the tech industry now? And if you could give us some examples as well. And also, last closing remark in terms of what would you say, what were the main differences that you don't have before in terms of your
Yeah, I think there's still lots of, as we said, all what we are saying since the starting of the panel, we still far away behind what we need. From personal experience, like Dr. Korfali and my family, I hadn't any problem to go to chemistry or to physics. Really, they were, because I wanted to go to French literature. So they said, no, you're brilliant in chemistry and physics, go to science. But then I will tell you that That's why I was talking about perfection, that when I was nominated for the position, for the current position, I had a doubt. Okay, I had a doubt, even though in the last few years, I was somehow the lady doing everything in my institution, but I wasn't secretary general. So when they nominated me for this position, I had this doubt saying that, okay, I have 3 children, I have my family. Will I be able to really, especially because of the crisis? This is, where comes the crisis? Public sector crisis, economic crisis. We have big challenges of research. But then I said, okay, why I will not accept? I know that I can change the mentality, I can change things in the institution. So, but at this level, I've been attacked, just to let you know why I was saying also that we are really not a very modern country. I wasn't attacked on my professional career. I was attacked by someone because I'm married to another Lebanese man. Okay, so this is another level of challenges in our country, that you have personal issues that come to interfere in your career or in your scientific life. And for me, this was crazy, because I never thought that someone would use such thing against me. So just to say that for women, okay, they have to be ethical and human, whatever, but never wait till someone gives you what you deserve. Go and take it. To be aggressive at this point, to take your place.
If you work in an embassy, I know that those who work in an embassy or ambassador shouldn't be married to all.
No, but we have ministers there. They have another nationality, and there's no problem. It's
They were searched for something, and they found that this is.
They couldn't find anything related to my career. So we will attack on this person and person.
Nancy, based on your experience and after everything that we've said, what would you recommend in terms of like having more women in the industry? What do you think should be done, especially that you're a young professor building your career? What would you like to see? The first thing I would like to see is increased awareness at the schools and at the level of communities, maybe working municipality by municipality, not only in large cities, but maybe also tackling smaller villages that might pretend more to keep girls close to home, not allow them to go as far as they wish to in their dreams. And as for the university level at AiW, we are very lucky not to have this discrimination or this discrepancy that happens. But if we come back to everything that we said about visibility, about the media access, I think this really will be a full package. Have big visibility to tell people not only about ourselves, about women that paved the way for us, like Barbara Martensdorf, Margaret Deinhoff, all these female leaders that at the time they were shunned from their communities because they don't understand. So really, this increased awareness and having a full package is needed so much. Dr. Elzein and I should talk about the importance of like building journalists who know more in terms of science and training them, not just the regular training, but this is something very important that I might be. Joslin, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone venturing into something remotely related to what you're working on?
I would say the cross collaboration. So in both fields of what we're doing in the agroecology and makerspace, and also in the digital platform, it's the possibility from cross collaboration, not just from having the research all together laid out in a way that you can see how they affect one another, but also hands-on in the field. How is the soil in the ecosystem improved, and how does that help me to build a product from it? So looking at the whole system.
Yes, hi, I'm sorry. We're still deliberating. So, hi everyone. We had a very interesting discussion related to the importance of women in science, the importance of data, why is it important to follow the advancement, the importance of partnership and strategic collaborations on the level of the digital arena, the importance of one being patient when working in STEM, being ethical, the importance of overcoming all the challenges that are available in Lebanon,
the importance of access to girls to be able to learn more about the importance of science, having a career in science, and why it's important. We have a lot of gap in terms of rights in general in Lebanon. We have a gap in terms of gendered research and the importance of gendered research to come out. The importance of having journalists and media coverage that highlights the importance of the digital arena, the importance of women in science, and highlighting important examples and having women on the decision-making table in terms of decisions that are being taken, and the importance of accessibility of data. Data is accessible. How do you unpack it so that it becomes more clear and more understandable to lay people, not just to scientists or people in the tech industry that are working on it. So basically, we will be continuing our conversation, and one important element that came out of it is the collaborative work that we will be doing with having like the importance of mentors and the importance of role models and the importance of one thing that we as this might be working on the importance of training journalists on working in the digital, talking about the digital sphere, what's happening in the digital sphere, and about the importance of journalists showcasing science and women in science. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I have a quick question for you, because you've been going through a very difficult situation in Lebanon, and I was wondering, because of also the pandemic, how the situation for women changed over the last, let's say, 3 years. I think it's worse than they were 3 years ago when we had this conversation and connection to Lebanon and referring to women specifically.
Yes, because like they're the general inhibitors, if I'm going to say, in terms of the laws versus status quo, the nationality, I spoke about that. And there are so many other things like the economic crisis. So like 80%, I don't want to give numbers because I want to be accurate, but a lot of people are below the poverty line. We do not know the statistics in terms of women working in the informal sector. There's a lot of dropout in terms of school. We were just talking about how, because of the economic crisis, more and more girls would be relegated to maybe public schools, or even when there will be a lot of dropout in terms of school. So yes, the situation is bad, simply because of the economic crisis, simply because of the fact that there are so many luxury, there's so many taken for granted things that now are considered luxury for us, unfortunately. Not to mention the rise in terms of violence against women, femicide, etc. So yes, the situation is not
Well, we are full by your side, and we will keep raising awareness around those issues, because it's important to always let outside our microphones and connect. Thank you so much, Myriam, and happy 50th anniversary for the women in Lebanon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
And let's move on to Amman. Again, my name is Kehdy.
Hi, Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can. Hi.
Let's get to our comrades in Lebanon, our friends with you in Jordan always. Elizabeth, we had a great discussion. It was very intense this year, and there was more audience involvement, which was amazing. And we're going to have more discussions with the audience now. So we have some bullet points I'd like to share with you. So I'll just go through them. The first point is how we should actively be considering how we use tech for the greater good. Gender equality within the tech industry has resulted in the exclusion of women. The digital divide occurs when access to tech is limited, resulting in unequal access to information. To attract more women in the labor market, we need to create safe and comfortable workspaces, including work from home options, addressing childcare and transportation obstacles. Encountering misbehavior and discrimination is crucial to women's success in the tech industry and in all industries, actually. Discrimination and bullying against women persists in the workplace. Encouraging more women to occupy senior positions and providing them with access to capital can help overcome these issues. We also spoke about social media and how it often reinforces gender stereotypes. And finally, we spoke about Injaz's financial literacy program and how it's provided women with greater access to financial tech information in an attempt to equip women to be change makers in society. And we also ended with some suggestions on how Injaz can build on those efforts. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Mary. Talking to our audience here in London about Injaz's programs and how you engage in schools and with a team, 14-year-old entrepreneurs, but aspiring entrepreneurs, by giving them this opportunity to learn from the experts, to learn from successful and established business people in Jordan. Thank you so much for that, and we're going to leave you to it. We will continue the conversation in the room with your live Q&A. Thank you, Injaz, my startup. And let's move on now to Karachi. Dr. Obeys, how did you say?
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you once again. So I'll be presenting the Retiree report from Karachi. During the fifth Athena40 Global Conversation, which was hosted in NIT Karachi, Pakistan, a number of issues related to women's empowerment were discussed. One of the major challenges highlighted was the lack of access to basic education for women in Pakistan. Additionally, women are also underrepresented in leadership roles and in government, which is a major concern. With almost 52% of the population being women, there's a need to provide more opportunities and equal representation to them in all fields, including government, education, and leadership. To achieve this, the government must incentivize organizations that have a higher gender diversity ratio and produce quotas in organizations. The lack of data on the number of women in news journalism was also highlighted, with only about 5% women journalists based on membership of press clubs. This leads to a lack of female representation and a domination of newsrooms by men. Overall, there is a need for greater effort to empower women in Pakistan and ensure equal opportunity and representation in all spheres of society. Thank you very much.
I have a question for you because we discussed here big seats and whether they fund women. Well, they don't, we know that, but they fund women to a very small percentage. What is the situation there that you, as the national incubator in Karachi, in Pakistan, do local VCs support women's ventures more?
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give actually not select. I'll give the mic to whoever would like to go first. We have Sana, we have Kira, Diana.
I think in the VC space, it's still a bit limited. We have one, interestingly, we have one VC who is a female-led founded VC, but all their investees are somehow male, except one. So, yeah. So, I think the issue is very low, but yeah, most of it.
Yes, I think Samira very rightly said that only one VC firm led by two females, and I saw a beautiful post by her today morning only that, how she just gave birth to a daughter and the journey so far. I think the overall investment in women that startups is still very less and low. Yes, they encourage it a lot, but for some odd reason, the number is very, very less. So even let's say if I talk about the startups incubated at NIC, yes, there are many startups, women-led startups like Diana's and many others who have won a lot of grants, but at least I am not at here at NIC. I have seen any women-led startup, come that far. I mean, Diana.
Yeah, I think definitely the VC space in general is still quite nascent in Pakistan. It's just over the last 3 years that we've seen a lot of local and foreign funding in the VC space. So it's still very new. And I think as a female founder, raising capital is also, again, because it's dominated by men, it is a little bit of an intimidating space to start with. However, I would like to definitely add that there's a lot of programs that are being run both locally and internationally to get female founders ready for those VC-backed conversations, those VC-led conversations.
conversations with accelerator programs, conversations with VCs. So there is a lot that's being done, and over the last 2 years, we have seen women raise over $1 million in their VC round, compared to those that they counterparts are raising. But it's definitely a newer industry here. There are fewer female founders also actively raising, and there needs to be more work. But I think within the next 2 years, you will see that shift change. A lot of VC funds have taken this seriously and are realizing the potential. Just simply because the fact that the population background is so large that women-focused businesses are becoming more and more a priority. So we will definitely see this kind of trend change, and I'm hopeful about that.
Thank you for that, and hats off to you. It's fantastic to know that this progress is happening in Pakistan. So well done.
Thank you.
And moving on to Sweden, can Myriam hear us?
Yes, I hear you. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Myriam.
So, hello from the first Athena panel discussion in Scandinavia. We hope to be able to share important inputs from women to the corporate and academic world on how to improve gender equality on an organizational, national, and global scale. Here are the main points from our panel discussion at Malmö University. Sweden is a pioneer in implementing equal sexual education worldwide and is currently revamping it by renaming it Sexuality, Consent, and Relationships to promote inclusivity and address structural views on sexuality through norms and behaviors. This is particularly crucial in a world where digital dating is a growing trend. Digital innovation and corporate strategy can mitigate the gender gap in divorce as traditional family structures evolve and divorce rates rise. With women taking the lead in divorce and facing financial strains, corporations must take responsibility for their employees in non-traditional family arrangements. In the tech industry, only 27% of the workforce are female. The industry has a bad reputation, making women not apply, while men also like to keep it like this. We see both structural and cultural problems. To change this, we need to work together, men and women, by acknowledging the importance of gender. Let's have hope. Even as the bottom numbers of gender equality look daunting, it's getting better. To increase the positive trend in an increasingly digital world, we can increasingly leverage communication and partnership in the corporate world to educate both women and men in gender equality. That was from Sweden.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thanks, big thanks to all your panelists and Malmö University. I was myself very impressed when I heard that the university has introduced the field of sexuality studies so commentary. So I would like to know more and would like to have a panel specifically on that. I'm sure that it will be very important and very insightful. Thank you. And then moving on to the other London panel, hosted by the Expanded and Wills and chaired by John Korfali, Chair of the Society of Editors. Can you hear us?
Hopefully you can hear us. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now you'll be pleased to hear that I didn't say a single word during the discussion. It was definitely Dawn as chairing and everybody spoke, and it was a wide-ranging discussion. And one of the reasons I didn't say anything was I was busy writing notes to give us something of a resume of what was talked. But it covered every area, and the panel represents every area. But the one overriding point that came through again and again was education, and education for all women, all girls. And millions of girls not being educated in Afghanistan, but it's wider than that. And it's social, financial, and as well as the stereotypes. So that was very much a view and a feeling. Then, as regards the media and the equality of usage of cameras, technology, it's felt that they have actually, this has changed dramatically. And technology has been part of that because in the Independent, for example, there's a very a revered young woman journalist who does her own camera work, her own technology from the front line of the war zones. And on a daily level, this is done. But there's still a stereotype of the specialist journalists, and these are in business, particularly in sport. And so there are areas where there is still needs to be done. The STEM and the artificial intelligence, AI, areas where it became better and reinforced with the statistics that were shown elsewhere. There's still much to do in those areas. But in climate change, which is another major subject, it does felt that there is a particular area where girls, particularly young girls, are more likely to take the learning back to the communities. And it's an area where the women have come through and young girls have come through, but more needs to be done to make the most of that and to showcase those who are really outstanding, and there are many who are outstanding and doing work. The importance of continuous training was also brought down by Julie there, and this was something right through career, along with networking, and for women to help other women once they go through the process and gone through the career structure and to go through. And that was felt to be something. But again, reinforcing something that's been said from Sweden, that the women to be on more boards, corporate boards, and to be interviewing panels, because they control the finance, and the finance often controls the resource, including education. So it's education for all, and we came up with where we'd like to be in 5 years. And I think the one that was overriding was elimination of fear, and that's a goal to achieve.
Well, I would like to be in 50 years' time. But I have a question for you, Doug. How does it feel to be the only man around the table?
I'd like to say spoiled, but I don't think I have to.
Thank you for the amazing work that you do and for supporting Athena40 and women in gender equality. And thank you everyone for this fantastic panel.
Yeah, and so if I can thank everyone and Dawn particularly for moderating a very intelligent and very skilled group of different people. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're now back in our room here. 100 Club, the time for live Q&A, which means that we have 10 minutes to hear from all of you and welcome your questions.
Basically, sorry about that, but like it's interesting to see that those discussions are happening everywhere, and I'm very happy that we're part of it. So, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, which is very strange in Sweden. And it's such an advanced country. I found that here in Lebanon, with all our classes, have a better condition than they, Sweden.
Depends in which areas. But Anna, what I found very interesting is the fact that we have that many women in STEM. I don't know.
Look, in science, there are women, she said, but I have followed this issue. The problem is in engineering. Now, in science, those who are PhD in science, women are finding work. It's the same as men. But the biggest problem is for those who are in engineering, or they have done statistics or math in countries. Yes.
Because what is know is that because there are very many pharmacists, but does that make a I don't know. I don't wanna generalize because it's just really not my field, but like I didn't know that like the STEM, all of them. Like we need to come in and make sure that we have the statistics right. So it's more in science than in other fields. So and where can we get the data?
Yeah, I think it has to be the university countrywide survey that has to be done. But I think, from what I've seen in my short career so far, that in biology there are a lot of young girls that are going to biology, pharmacy as well. But when I was staying in engineer, I think maybe there are very few. And now I've been with this now I'm giving a course for computer science students, and most of them are men.
It used to be female, you know, if you go back 15 years ago, or maybe 20, you know, that the very the number of girls were more than the boys. Yeah.
Now it's not the opposite. I think I have 5 girls for 20 boys in my class.
You know, many girls who have finished computer science, they are from LA. They ended up having another degree, either they are teaching, they took another master, or one engineering, computer science. This has all to go to the companies. So it's better change.
Yeah, I know it's the perception of some companies that they prefer to have male employees, especially in engineering.
And I know one lady that graduated with distinction. Excellent. Electrical engineering. She opened a cafe.
She didn't find a job.
She found a job, and then it is a very bright, really bright. And then she went to another company. The treatment was worse. She said, "I give up." She opened next to Julie. She opened a small coffee shop. She's divorced and has 2 kids, so she had to work. A little much better. People come.
There's a question you asked about percentage of females in STEM that end up quitting earlier in their career. And from a young researcher point of view, sometimes if I say certain information to a male colleague, the same information, so he doesn't accept it, but the same information is given by another male colleague, then it's accepted. And I think that lesser of a problem in biology and more of a problem in mathematics, computer science.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like, okay,
Chemistry, I think girls are more than boys.
yeah, and biology as well, but then they same computer science.
And but in the States, not here, those completely other chemistry, chemical engineering, women, they're okay.
Do you think that females they show raising males they show origin because of the major itself? So for me, I'm a social science, I'm in the social sciences field, but I work just like very high, 12 to 14 hours a day, and then I face these issues when I'm in public, like, or when I'm asked by someone, or when I'm approached in a way, like I'm always seeing like, like saying the same,
and that's why.
But he must be more talented.
And you end up being a bit more aggressive, and then you end up being called emotional. My computer science students, they were shocked when I told them that the person who implemented something called the one-letter code for amino acids, something that is used a lot in bioinformatics and computer science, and the first one to set up a database was a woman. And very recently, the former director of the largest database ever, it's called NCBI, it's a huge database that everyone in STEM uses. He's the former director, and he called her name's Margaret Daylock. He called her the unseen mother and father of bioinformatics. And the computer science students were like shocked. Oh, okay, a woman said this. Yeah, a woman said this.
You know, I think this is a great idea for a media campaign by your sector, just like shedding the light. Women implement science, it's hard to just like make these changes. Like post, it would be like showing us.
What honest and you have not learned them all. I mean, whereby it would be basic, etc. Students can and see it. I mean, this is
because I have several ideas based on what we spoke. One after everything.
Yeah, after I come back.
When you come back, the second thing that I came up with is the importance of like maybe 20 times when we can go to school, so maybe like CNRS and with like the people who are like-minded and interested in doing that at school. The third idea is the importance of like showcasing important role models.
Yeah.
And the fourth idea is journalism and media journalism that is good in terms of like asking scientific questions, etc. So maybe training journalists on this the importance of like showcasing the role of people in STEM in general and in specific women in STEM.
One remark about the media. I think social media should be a major part. And let's face it, young girls don't be there. Yeah, I think Instagram, TikTok, this should be. What I meant before on Instagram pictures.
And anyway, the president of this university, Dr. Salwa Nassar, was the first president in the Arab region. And she was the president of AiW, and she was the first physicist in the Arab region. So you have a question.
Thank you for the panel and for the interventions. It touches my heart as a woman. Actually, what I wanted to highlight, you just already said, it's important to have the media on board to showcase women in science. And this requires, I think, as you said just now, concerted efforts between probably academic institutions, but also state institutions and civil society, which has to reach out to more and more people. So I think you should take the initiative and start this. And of course, it will be like a snowball. It's important really to shed light. It's about time. Women in science.
2024, I promise.
Yeah,
because or else my colleagues will
and I quit.
Instead of quitting in the step, please do it.
And I think you will find that every single young or female scientist with big career will be ready to.
Thank you so much. I just have a question because I was a STEM student. So like I come with the experience of having been like in the system and then I chose to leave because of the struggles that I experienced. And I think
which are
so to me it felt like the system itself is built for the masculine. Like it's even the professors, some of the professors themselves, they encourage the competitive, like toxic competitive nature between the students. And like going into, and it's all because, you know, we're all undergraduates and most of them are going to med school. But whether you're going to med school or not, you're encouraged to be this competitive and you do have to strive for perfection. B's don't get it. If you're getting B's, that's not okay. And so even if you're just looking to pursue a master's or you're looking and you want to become a scholar or an academic or whatever you want to do, you have to like be at the top. You always have to fight with others instead of work with them. And that's kind of the way that men are socialized and not women. And so the environment itself, even though there are a lot of women in biology, I was in biology, there are a lot of women in chemistry, the environment itself is still built to accommodate for how men are socialized.
So one thing I want to say that you will answer, we need an article in Al-Raida about that. You can be in STEM and moving to literature, correct? That's what I didn't answer.
I don't know. You see, I'm a Shifayari. I have left LAU 2 years ago, and I'm really shocked about this because, in the contrary, I still remember we had an environment that helps all and promotes all. And now, if somebody don't read science or computer science or engineering, they decide this is like a Many have moved to communication, and I still remember one student, and he became an actress. He said others went into journalism, they decided, but not because somebody discouraged them. Well, maybe I'm still here. You should go to the chair.
It depends on the instructor. I had a similar experience in my former university when I was, and it was a female instructor, that was the funny part. And I got a B- on structural biology, and she gave me up in that because I was an A student. And it really depends, and we need more instructors like you that are ready to embrace everyone.